call them out. And they know that Rob Portman is in their pocket, and he'll do whatever they ask of him.
But you've lost a lot of ground. I mean, in polls you've lost ground, and also in the ability to have your message out there when all these groups for you are pulling money. That has to hurt.
Well, it doesn't feel very good, let me tell you, but I haven't given up on this race. This isn't over until the votes are cast and the votes are counted. And I'm feeling very good about this race. Because I believe the people of this state will reject Donald Trump, and I believe as they come to understand more clearly, and we're going to make that the case over the next several days, that Rob Portman and Donald Trump are in this together. Rob Portman is so ashamed of Donald Trump that he won't stand on a platform with him, but yet he says he ought to be the president of this country. That says something pretty bad about Donald Trump. It says something even worse about Rob Portman. It says that Rob Portman is putting his own political well-being above what's right for America. And that's pretty bad. That's very bad. And Rob Portman, I think in his heart of hearts, knows that Donald Trump is not fit to be the president, and yet he continues to support him. That says something pretty bad about Rob Portman.
Governor, the national media seems to be fixed on the fact that you may be a loser. They seem to be feeding on each other, and the local media sort of follows their trend. You're going to have 3 chances to be in front of Rob Portman here at these debates.
I'm looking forward to it.
Share your excitement about looking forward to it. What have you done to prepare? And will these 3 debates be enough to reverse what the sort of conventional wisdom is that he's run a flawless race and you haven't?
Well, just let me say that he hasn't run a flawless race. He's had billionaires buy attack ads for him. That's not a flawless race. The fact is that I'm looking forward to these debates. I asked for at least 5. He initially said, how about 2? I got him up to 3. I still hope that there'll be more than 3.
And this is within 1 week. In the span of 6 days, you're going to have 3 debates with Senator Portman.
Well, they're all in October. I'm not sure of the exact dates right now, but those dates have been set, and I'm looking forward to that. To stand, I wish they were more than an hour long. Quite frankly, I would like to stand beside Rob Portman for several days and talk about the issues, because on every issue that's really important to the people of Ohio, he's on the wrong side. He wants to overturn Roe v. Wade. He voted to defund Planned Parenthood. He thinks a woman's boss should be able to tell her whether or not her insurance covers contraception. When it comes to students, he's opposed allowing Ohio students to refinance their debt at a lower interest rate. When it comes to seniors, he wants to increase the retirement age, and he wants to privatize Social Security, and he wants to turn Medicare into a voucher program. When it comes to workers, he has supported every trade deal that's ever been proposed. He is responsible for thousands and thousands of jobs being sent to China and Mexico and elsewhere. What about the auto rescue? He called the auto rescue a lousy deal for Ohio. On every issue that's important to Ohioans, Rob Portman's on the wrong side. What about the heroin epidemic? He talks about being concerned about the heroin epidemic, and he goes from community to community talking about his concern. He is not telling people in these communities that he actually voted against the funding that would have given him the resources to fight this scourge. So Rob Portman, they can say he's run a good campaign if they want. I think if it had not been for the billionaires coming in here and spending massive amounts of money for him, I'd be 15 or 20 points ahead of him. Because when it comes to the issues, I'm on the right side, he's on the wrong side.
During these debates, do you think you can do enough to overcome the last 6 years of Republicans basically saddling you with the Great Recession, bringing it on and not doing anything about it?
Well, the problem is the Great Recession was a national recession. It was caused, I believe, by the policies of George Bush, and I'll remind people that Rob Portman was the budget director with President Bush right before the recession started. I had nothing to do with creating the recession, but I had a lot to do with managing the affairs of this state during the recession in a responsible way. And I gave John Kasich a recovering economy. And so I'm proud of my tenure as governor. We were, I think, the best in the nation in terms of tuition increases on students. So we're going to fight this to the very end. I'm looking forward to the next several weeks, and I'm looking forward to the debates with Rob Portman. I believe will have a hard time explaining how he has represented Ohio over the last several years.
Michael?
Well, Portman today is launching a campaign touting the Teamsters endorsement. Any thoughts on what that means or doesn't mean for you or Portman?
Well, I think there very well could be an ethical problem with what's happened there, because the vice president of the Teamsters on C-SPAN said very clearly that they chose to endorse Rob Portman because he promised them a vote. If that's the case, and that's exactly what he said, I would invite you to go back and look at the C-SPAN footage. That's a real problem, because in my judgment, that would be a very serious ethical violation, and it would explain this endorsement, would it not?
Governor, we have sort of a tied race in Ohio between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. What does Mrs. Clinton need to do to bust out?
I think Hillary is going to win Ohio, and win Ohio in a convincing manner. One of the reasons that we're here and all these young people are working so hard is because Ohio, I believe, has the best grassroots effort to get in there and to turn out the vote of any state in America. And that's going to make a big difference. And these young people are working their hearts out from 10 till 10, they tell me. They're all for Hillary. I'm for Hillary. I think Hillary has the right message. And I think Donald Trump is unfit to be the president of this country.
Jerry?
For a lot of reasons.
I'm sorry. Go for it. If you had a question.
I got here late, sorry.
No, yeah. Well, just let me say that there are a lot of reasons why Donald Trump is unfit to be president. But I would just point out that this man who says he wants to be president actually stood in front of a crowd and mocked a disabled person. That alone should disqualify him from ever being the president of this country. But there are other things. His ban against a religious group, the Muslims, his mocking of Donald Trump, or of John McCain, saying that he was captured. We could go on and on and on. The way he's talked about women, obviously, is a huge problem. His implying that he would consider using nuclear weapons in Europe. His boasting about Vladimir Putin, that I consider a KGB thug, a man who has almost certainly been responsible for poisoning and assassinating his political opponents. And Donald Trump sees that as strength. I see it as barbarism. I see it as a behavior that we would never want to see here in America from an American president. And so the people of Ohio are really common sense folk. Ohioans typically do not be pulled too far in one direction or the other, but they carve out that reasonable common sense middle ground. And I think when it comes time for them to cast their vote, they're going to realize that Hillary Clinton is the only candidate among the two of them that has the qualities necessary to be a good president.
Governor, final question from myself. In 2011, we had a unique coalition of union families and people friendly with unions turn out to really smack down Senate Bill 5. They seem to have gone to sleep every election thereafter. What's your prospect of them waking up here in the next 56 days?
Well, I think the union leadership in this state, with few exceptions, is strongly behind Hillary Clinton and strongly behind me. And I think that could make a very real difference in the outcome of this election. The real struggle going on in this country, I think, was clearly defined by Bernie Sanders. It's a struggle between the super wealthy and the working class people in this country. And Rob Portman, throughout his political career, has always looked out for the super wealthy. And in my political career, I've always tried to work out for regular working people. And that's reflected in a lot of things. I want students to be able to refinance their student debt at a lower interest rate. Rob Portman says no, that he's opposed to that. I want seniors to be able to retire with a sense of security and dignity. Rob Portman wants to voucherize Medicare and privatize Social Security. I believe when a person works hard, a lot of senators don't work all that hard, quite frankly, when it comes to physical labor, but when a person works really hard, they ought to be able to retire without having that retirement age raised. Rob Portman wants to raise the retirement age. So there's so many differences between the two of us, and I think this is a watershed election, and it will determine whether or not Ohio and America is going to move in a positive direction. I could talk about the Supreme Court. The fact is that Rob Portman has not done his job. He has followed the advice of Mitch McConnell. And when Mitch McConnell says we shouldn't give Judge Garland a hearing or a vote, Rob Portman fell in line. And, we could talk about the Iran deal. As this country was trying to negotiate a very sensitive deal that could have kept us out of war, Rob Portman went around our national security experts and negotiators and signed a letter to the Ayatollah Khomeini. Rob Portman, his first job as a lobbyist was for a Chinese-based company. He allowed himself to be registered as a foreign agent for the country of Haiti when Haiti was being governed by a despot, Papa Duvalier, who tortured and murdered hundreds, even thousands of people. So there are big differences here, but it comes down to whose side are you on? Are you on the side of the millionaires and the billionaires, or are you on the side of working people? Hillary Clinton is on the side of working people, moms and dads, students, young people trying to get an education, as am I. And Rob Portman and Donald Trump are on the side of people who are already rich. I think that's the basic difference.
Governor, I got here late, so I apologize for that.
No, don't apologize.
A previous engagement here as well. My question for you today is, does Hillary Clinton's health, is that a concern for you?
Absolutely not. And I think it's just fairly ridiculous that so much would be made over her having pneumonia. A lot of people get pneumonia. And so I think this is just an attempt to find some way to try to discredit her as a serious candidate for the presidency. She has demonstrated, let me say this, if you look back over the past several years of Hillary Clinton's work, she has traveled this globe, she has worked from sun up to sundown, she has demonstrated, in my judgment, beyond any question, that she is fully capable of carrying out the responsibilities of the presidency. And so rather than talking about her health, let's talk about Donald Trump's lack of transparency. We haven't seen his health records. We certainly haven't seen his tax records, have we? Haven't seen his tax records. There was a report last night that his contributions to charity have been basically zero for the last several years. I think those contradictions on the part of Donald Trump do bear scrutiny and attention from the journalistic community. And I would hope that between now and when the polls close on Election Day, we hear a lot more about Donald Trump's lack of transparency and his failure to release his income tax returns.
All right, guys, thank you.